I'm Dana, and today's video is going to be a little bit of a weird one because Sunday's videos often are, because I don't want to do like real content, but I also still want to make content that I'm putting effort into. So I often tend to like cook or tidy up or do something or another while sharing my thoughts to make it a bit more casual. I don't really have anything to do and I don't have the energy to do it anyway, so we are just having a chat today, and I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video, and currently the only idea I have for a title is Outgrowing Your Parents. And it's one of those things that I feel like isn't going to be a catchy title, and a lot of people aren't going to really get what I mean by it, but it's all I can think of. Because for anyone new here, I'm Dana, obviously I said that, and my mum recently died and my dad died 11 years ago when I was 18, so I am now a fresh little orphan, I suppose. And it's been a lot to process, and it's been very weird, and I've had a lot of very like complicated feelings about it. And as you can imagine, it prompted me to think back a lot about my relationship with my parents and the way that I was raised and the way that, and because I went no contact with my mum 2 years ago as well, and haven't spoken to her in that time before she passed. A lot of thoughts, a lot going on in my little head. And one of the really big ones for me is that like I've known a few people that have had their parents pass who were a lot older than I am now, and it still hit them like incredibly hard. And obviously that's entirely valid. However grief hits you, however mourning somebody, however things hit you in life, that's how they hit, and that's fine. But it meant that I thought that I was going to be like much more devastated than I have been, both when my dad died and this time around, to be fair. And I had been rebuilding my relationship with my dad, and he was in my life at the time that he passed, and they're just very different situations that I've been reflecting on. And one of the big reasons that I just don't feel like I'm as incredibly upset as a lot of people I've seen that have gone through this type of thing is that I just feel like I outgrew my parents at a fairly early age. Like, I moved out when I was 16, and my parents were never super there. You know, like, they were often there physically. My dad was nearly always in his like at-home office, but there was no emotional connection. If I was upset, if I was going through something, I was taught to deal with it on my own. So I'd say from the age of like 13 or 14, I'd started cooking my own meals, I got myself up for school. Like, I had no need for my parents anymore at that point. Like, they hadn't been providing me with the things I needed anyway. So I just moved past it and was like, okay, I don't get what I fucking need from you. I guess I'm gonna have to try and build my own shit up here. And I feel like I was also like, I don't know if I was any younger, if I was around the same age, because I remember talking about it to friends at the time. Between the ages of like 13 and 16, being like, yo, my parents are just wrong so often. And I know teenagers are always like, I know best, I know what's going on. And we have that like perception of teenagers. But I was consistently like doing the things my parents told me to do and reacting to situations in the ways my parents told me to, and just educating myself about like politics and various things happening in the world, and consistently finding out like my parents are wrong. Like not even just in like social situations and things, but like factually with like things happening in the world, things happening around us, just in general life around me, my parents were often wrong. And I like just talked about it to other people, and they'd be like, no, my parents, I asked my parents that question, they gave me the correct answer, they told me this, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't. And I'm actually, I try not to go deep into like specific situations that I had with my parents, because it just doesn't feel something necessary to do online and for other people. But I am going to go into one here, because it's the situation that I keep going back to that I feel like just really validates and like comforts me, and just makes me feel like I did make the right choice and I did the right things and reacted to things in the right way. And it is one of the things, I think, if anyone else has got no contact with their family, because in cutting off my mum, I then didn't have contact with anyone else. I only saw people when they were like at my mother's house and I happened to be there and stuff. And I think you all, like anyone else that's had that type of thing, is probably the same as me, where I'm not doing it. I'm not going to reach out to anybody. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I know it wouldn't benefit me in any way. But there's a little petty bitch part of my brain that's like, but if you told them about this stuff, they'd know that you're not an asshole that abandoned your mother. They'd know why you did it. They'd have the context. And it's like, it doesn't matter what they think or what context they have. I know what's going on for me. But I still imagine myself telling them and then being like, oh, Dana. So back when I was 16, we'd just moved to Liverpool. I might have even still been 15, to be fair, but we'd only just moved. I had just about finished high school, maybe it was still there actually. And my mum took me out in Liverpool to get a coat I'm telling this like it's a story because it's one of the things that I don't talk about because it was genuinely quite traumatizing and like trigger warning or whatever because of, yeah. Oh, you have to say what the trigger warning's for. I don't know how to. I'm going into a vaguely traumatic experience, okay? So we're stood at the bottom floor of Primark in the men's section, and I've been like, that's the coat I want, I would like that coat please, and she had me try it on, and I was like, it fits, I would like this coat please, and she had hung it back up and was like, oh, but what about this other coat, what about this coat, what about this woman's coat, what about, and I just, you know, I'm 16, I have a strained relationship with my mother, it's starting to get cold, I just need the fucking coat and I've chosen one, so I'm just stood there sort of looking around, and I'm facing the escalator, and all of a sudden this thing falls down and smacks into the floor, and my first thought is, oh, that sounded just like when Sherlock fell from the building in Sherlock, and then I'm like, oh, that's because a person's just fucking fallen, like, oh shit. So I turned to my mum, and she's obviously looked over and been like, what was that? And she's like, oh, someone's fallen. And my mum is someone that reacted really well in like crises and things, like she'd worked in various care homes and stuff, so she was on it. So she immediately started getting the Primark staff to move, because obviously the people that work in Primark don't know what to do when someone's just fallen through the fucking stairwell. It was horrifying. And I'd fully, you know, like, as much as I hadn't known at the exact moment that it was a person, I'd watched a person fall and hit, and it was pretty fucked up. Like, I don't talk about this. Like, it really, like, as a suicidal little teenager that was having a real bad time and just didn't enjoy life, it really played with my brain. It really made, like, it was such a traumatizing big shock of the things that happened while I'm just out on a random shopping trip with my mum, you know? And it panicked me, and I was shaking, and you know, everyone's in chaos now because somebody's fallen, someone's injured, they're evacuating the building, like, it's chaos. And my mum gets the coat that I'd chosen and takes me to the tills, and I'm shaking, I'm like heavy breathing, I'm almost crying, like it was just like autistic shutdown, autistic meltdown. We didn't know I was autistic at the time, but that's what's going on because I've just witnessed this like traumatic thing, and I think a lot of people would react in a similarly traumatized way regardless of autism playing into it or not. But she made these poor fucking staff check us out, even though they were evacuating the building. She made them check us out and get this coat, and I'm saying the whole time, like, I don't want this fucking coat anymore. I'm going, every time I put this coat on, I'm going to think about this, I don't want this coat. And she's like, don't be stupid, you chose this coat, just get the fucking coat. We're getting the coat, you chose the coat, we've been looking for the coat for fucking ages because you're so fussy, you are getting this coat. So she made us check out and pay for it and everything, and we get out the shop, and she looks at me, she's like, you're really pale and shaking. I'm like, that was quite a horrible fucking thing to see back there, was it not? So she got me a coffee in Subway, and I went to sit down, and she was like, no, we're getting back in the car, we're going home, like, I need to cook tea, your dad's getting it, like, blah blah, like, we need to continue with the routine, get in the fucking car. So I got in the car, I drank my coffee, we got home, I went and sat in the living room and did my usual like evening routine, and everyone just acted like nothing had happened. And it just, I feel like you can tell from me just telling it, like, it was a horrible thing to see and experience and everything. And I spent the next like few weeks constantly like Googling the Primark location to see what came up in the news about it and like what had gone on, and it just really fucking played with me, and it really sat with me, and it was, you know, like, it was horrible, it was very traumatizing, it's a very horrible thing for anybody to experience, it's a very shocking thing, it's horrid. And she just acted like it hadn't happened, you know? It was just, fucking deal with it, stop being such a pussy, get over it, we're home now, you're fine. It didn't happen to you, did it? Get over it. I always want to be like, it's an example of how my mother wasn't treating me very nicely and blah blah blah. And it's one of those things where I'm like, well, she'd also just experienced that thing, and her brain obviously like did the set focus on like, we're here to get a coat so we can get the coat, and then we've done what we needed to do, yeah, and it's actually fine that this thing happened. And as much as I can see the way my mother's brain was going, like the thought processes she was going through and how she chose to handle things, she was my mother, and she was supposed to be acting like a parent to me. She didn't do a particularly fucking good job of it in a lot of situations, you know? So it's one of those where like, I have the empathy and compassion and understanding for her. I don't think that makes it okay. But the thing that gets me with that, and the thing that ties back into like that outgrowing your parents type of thing, is that right before I stopped talking to her, I think it was October of 2021, somewhere around there, she basically for like years my mum had been like, we never have nice pictures together, I'm never in pictures, blah blah blah, because like she's the mum, so she was the person taking the pictures. That was an entirely valid complaint. I hate that so many people's mums and like wives and like the woman of whatever situation is happening is so often not in the pictures. That does really bug me, and I think that's a completely valid thing for her to be annoyed about. So for Christmas that year, the previous year, the Christmas 2020, I'd gotten a while those like photo experience packages you can get, where like you show up and you get your makeup done and you get pictures taken and you get the pictures, and I made it a whole fucking thing for her. You know, I think people think that I like fucking hated my mum, or like the relationship was always horrible or whatever, but the thing that like exhausted me was that so much of the relationship was me trying desperately to get her to seem like she liked me. You know, like she'd tell anyone like, oh, I love my kids so much, try and get her to act like she enjoyed being around me for 15 minutes. Ooh, fucking hell. Like one-on-one time, like me as an actual person and not just the kid that she birthed out that she has to love. So I was constantly grasping at straws to try and get her to love me and like me and validate me in some way, mother please. So I'd gotten her this big photo package, and we arrived and we got given like little glasses of champagne, we got our makeup done all nice, and we got to put on different outfits and take all these really nice pictures, and they showed us the pictures, and my mum was like, oh, we look nice, don't we? Like my mum had such low self-esteem. I always did feel really bad for her for that. Like she always just thought she was like the ugliest person in the room, and she really fucking wasn't. So it was a really lovely experience. Oh, I don't like thinking about this. That is one of the things that gets me, because it's one of those things where like, I think that day, because we'd done the pictures and then I took her out for a meal and everything, and that day was probably the only time in my entire life that I knew I'd nailed it. Like the way she looked at me, the way she was talking to me, the way she treated me that day, that was the mother that I'd always wanted. Like she was so fucking impressed with me. She was so happy. If she could have just been like that, you know? Like it was a really, really lovely day, and then we'd decided, we'd had food and everything, and we were like, let's do a little bit of shopping to like wrap it up, and we'd gone into St. John's, and anyone local, anyone that's in Liverpool, anyone that's ever been in a fucking shopping centre in the north, it's horrible. I don't know why we decided to go in, to be quite frank with you, because we were having a lovely day. My mum just liked St. John's. I think it was good in the 90s or something, I don't know. So we went in, and it was so fucking busy. I didn't like it that much off the bat. We went into like 2 or 3 shops, you know, we'd had a sort of shuffle around, and then someone had bumped into my mum, and she turned to me and she just had this look of like complete panic on her face. And you know, it's like a bitch with anxiety. If you're someone else that has anxiety, you know when you see someone and you see the anxiety, like it's not that they're a bit worried or they're a bit nervous, like you see the like, oh fuck, you feel how I feel when it's like, this is too much, I need to leave. And I was like, okay, do you want to get out of here? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, I want to leave. I think we should leave out of this closest exit here. So I put my arm around her and I guided her outside, and I sat her down on a bench, and she was doing like the heavy breathing, close to having a panic attack. And I was like, I know this. Got my drink out of my bag and was like, here, have some Pepsi. I'll roll you a ciggy. Here's your smoke. You smoke that, take some deep breaths, have your drink. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be all right. And by that point, she's starting to feel a little bit silly and get a bit teary and everything, and saying like, I don't know what happened in there. I you know, she was very confused as to why she'd reacted like that. And I was very like, there were a lot of people. You get a little bit panicked. It's okay. Everything's fine. As long as you can calm down, as long as this doesn't ruin the day and we continue to have a nice time together, you know, like, everything's fine. And she was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And I was like, we can do something else out here, or we can go back to yours. Either of those options is fine. And she was like, but if we go back to mine, I'm ruining the day. And I was like, you say that makes me think that you want to go back to yours. And I don't think it is ruining the day. We can go back to yours. We can have a cuppa. We can have a chat. It's all going to be fine, you know? And it was, I got her calmed down. We had a perfectly nice rest of the day. That was single-handedly the best date I ever had with my mother. And, you know, it does really fucking upset me that I had to put hundreds of pounds and hours of planning and so much fucking effort into it to just have one really good day. But that experience of having been, that's how my mother should have treated me in 1,000 situations of my teen years. You know, I can't tell you how many times I was like mid-panic attack in shopping centres, in school, in just like these various situations I had with her. And she'd just tell me, fucking stop it now, you stop that, it's not that bad, why are you reacting like that? You know, she showed me so little compassion, empathy, understanding, any of that. And to then have it reversed and have to do that for her and have to be the person that cares and the person that shows empathy and the person that makes you feel better. No. You know? No. And like, I'll give that my parents were in their my mum was in her mid to early 30s when I was born, and my dad was in his 40s. So like I do have like older parents as well. So I think that they were reaching the age where a lot of people have to start like looking after their parents a little bit and looking out for their parents a little bit more, and they both have like illnesses and everything going on. And it's just one of those things where the more that I had to care for them and look out for them and do things for them, the more I had the thought of like, I wouldn't mind this if you'd ever done it for me. You know? I wouldn't mind this if I wasn't trying to react appropriately to make sure you're okay in the moment, and then realising that's what you should have been doing for me for years. And it's like, I can figure this out as a 19-year-old. Why did you never figure this out as a parent for me? And like I've said in past videos, I did try to have conversations and it just never went over well. It was never discussed. It was always, I'm being dramatic. That never happened, blah, 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 blah. You know, and I get that it's the thing of like breaking cycles of trauma. You know, I understand and know about a lot of the trauma and things that my mother went through, and I can very much see how that made her into the person that she was. But if I'm expected to do better than be more, why's no one fucking else, you know? If I can be understanding and show compassion of people, even if I don't necessarily understand their exact situation, why couldn't anyone do that for me? So I do feel like this is perhaps a little bit too personal of a video, I don't know, but it was something that I wanted to share, because I don't know how many other people are actually going through these types of situations with family and parents and stuff. There isn't like, at least I haven't found like a community for it in the same way that there's the autistic community, but it is an area where I could really do with some support lately, and where I also think that like some of my experiences and the way that I feel about things and having perhaps more processing time than a lot of people that are currently going through this type of thing, I would like to think I can maybe be helpful to some people and dealing with it. But for now, on this current Sunday, that's all I have to say. I know I've stumbled over words and like sort of stuttered and stuff a bunch in this video. I'm just trying my best, what can I say? So as always, it'd be lovely if you wanted to comment and add anything to this discussion, any similar experiences you've had, whatever you think about what I've said. I don't know, it's just lovely to get to have like actual discussion and chat with you guys. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment is all cool. If you want to follow me elsewhere, you can do so over on TikTok and Instagram. I post on both semi-regularly, more so over on TikTok to be fair. I really like TikTok. I would love to see some of you guys over there maybe. And you can also follow me over on Patreon if you want to give me a lot of money in order to get some content slightly early. This one isn't going up early. I'm finishing filming this at 3:30 and it's meant to be up at 4:30, so like Patreon ain't getting this early. But sometimes I actually fucking manage it. And you can also donate to me on Ko-fi if you so choose. There's never any pressure, you do not have to. But it's always massively, massively appreciated. Sorry, I'm really distracted by stroking Otis. He's just the cutest, most perfect little man. So, whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I'll see you again in a couple of days.